What's going on, everybody? JJ Wilson here. I'm back to continue my review on the GANGSTA, the main story, GANGSTA, Volume 7. That's right, a new volume has come out as of July 2016. So you guys, if you want, you can check that out on... I bought this book on Amazon, but I'm sure there's other websites for you to purchase this volume as well. So please go by and check that out if you can. And check out my first review on GANGSTA Chapter 35 on the Volume 7, the very first chapter. This video will cover Chapter 36. Now, Chapter 36 was a little bit lengthier. Although it wasn't dialogue heavy, it was definitely a very deep... It was a pretty deep chapter. For me, it was anyway. You know, it had a couple of emotional scenes on there with Marco and Loretta mainly. But before we go to that, we have a short scene of the city of Ergaslim. You know, we have the news outlets of several channels on Ergaslim. They're talking about what the events that just took place, and they're informing us, the audience, that Daniel Moreau is missing. One of the head protectors of the Twilights, he's missing. Nobody can seem to find him, and the anti-Twilight faction is taking advantage of the fact that the destroyers are here, or the hunters are back. People are hearing rumors that they have returned, and there's going to be war once again. Like, there's going to be a full-scale war breaking out, and a lot of people, both normals and Twilights, pretty much the entire city is on edge right now. And we get a scene at I guess it's like a club or a little bar. I guess it's full of normals. And you know, they're getting concerned about all these recent events that have been taking place, and they're like, now the anti-Twilights, the anti-Twilight faction and the hunters, like they're out here, they're just gonna kill Twilights, right? They're not gonna mess with us regulars. And then we get this fat drunk dude. He's like, man, don't worry about it. That's probably good for us, because I don't think they're after the Twilight, so we ain't got nothing to worry about. And of course, he's drinking beer. He's not even fazed by what's going on. That just shows you the ignorance of some normals about the plight of the Twilights. And so, I guess for those that don't know what a Twilight is, the difference between a normal and a Twilight. The Twilight, they have like special abilities, kind of like they have super strength and super speed, and I guess also super vision and super hearing. So they're kind of like enhanced human beings, or they might even be weapons. So, but either way, the way to identify Twilight is their tags, like their dog tags that they wear to identify who they are, and also their smell. They have a distinct smell about them. So anybody can tell the difference between a normal and a Twilight just based off the smell of their bodies too. So they kind of, I guess you can say they kind of stink. So now we go back to Bastard, and so this is a pretty deep scene here. We have Loretta Cristiano. She's only 14 years old, and she's also one of the head protectors of the Twilights. And her responsibility is the distribution of the drug Celeber, and that's something that Twilights use, that they have to take before they get sick. You know, they start having complications due to them being Twilights. That distinct smell that I'm talking about, that's in their bloodstream, that can cause a lot of side effects or whatever. So if they don't take that drug, you know, they could die very, very premature. You know, and that drug Celeber is there to kind of lengthen their lifespan, to extend it. So that's her responsibility. And plus, they also use the club as shelter. The club Bastard, it's kind of like a temporary evacuation center for Twilights in case, you know, violent acts are going on upon them. So that's what that place is used for. But at regular times, it's basically a nightclub. So, but right now the place is closed, and Loretta is talking with Marco, and Marco's getting ready to leave. And we also see in one of those pages that he left the arm there of his girlfriend, who is right now is hostage under the destroyers, the very group that came into that city, and they wrecked the plate. They wrecked the entire town to try to find Daniel Moreau, but they found somebody better. They found Connie. And because they know now, they realize that Connie is the girlfriend of Marco, their former partner, who used to be called Spies, you know, they taking her hostage. So now Marco's pretty pissed off about that, and he's getting ready to face them. And so Loretta knows this, and she's telling him to please stop, don't go. You know, I order you not to go. But Marco's like, hey, I can't do that. I have to do this, so you need to let me go just this one time. And of course, Loretta, she's getting emotional about this. Like she's like, what? You looked after me for so many years, you know, for as long as I can remember. You've always been there for me, and you've always been there for me. You made sure this business stayed afloat, like this Bastard Club business. You made sure that everything was going smooth. If you were never around, the place fell apart. I have another person here, Galahad. You know, he's always spoiling me. He never takes things. Everything I say, he doesn't take it seriously. He should say, I just let it go. Just go with the flow. Everything's gonna be fine. But it's not fine. Not while you're around, Marco. So please don't go. And you know, Marco, and finally, excuse me. Finally, Marco just had to say it. He was like, the reason why I'm here is because of your father. That's basically what he was trying to tell him. He's the only reason why I became what I am. And I've done everything I can to help you and this business grow and protect itself and protect Twilights. And it's all because of your father. And now I see that you've become a fine woman, and you've gotten very strong. You're not a little girl anymore, and because of that, I feel like it's time for us to go our separate ways. So that's pretty much what he's telling her. And of course, she's very, very sad to hear that. You know, and Marco's like, it's time for me to go. It's time for me to end my service here with the Cristiano family. And so after that, he's finally gone, and I guess Galahad couldn't help but hear the conversation. I guess he wasn't far off. And so he's finally approaching Loretta, and she's pretty sad. And they embrace, you know. They don't like the fact that Marco's leaving, you know. And what else happens? Yes, we cut to the clinic. Dr. Theo. Now, he's not a Twilight protector, but he'll treat any patient regardless if it's a normal or a Twilight. He'll treat them all. And he prefers to treat Twilights because he does experimentations on their bodies, especially if they're dead. He'll do like experiments for them on their samples and stuff, because they're still being researched, not just by, you know, physicians, but also by the government. So that's why Dr. Theo, he's willing to help out any patient. So they're at the clinic. It's Nick. Nick is in there. He's still down. He's finally calmed down because he was having a seizure, overtaking too much of the Celeber. And we got the little girl, his Dr. Theo's assistant Nina. She's asleep. And Alex is also asleep. The girl that's with the handyman, Nick and Worick, she's asleep. Well, she was asleep, but she kind of wakes up a little bit, just kind of half dozing off. And so then we have Daniel Monroe's bodyguards, Miles and Diego. So they're in there. They're getting treated by the doctor. And then we have Worick, one of the handymen. He's still there, but he's pretty upset about what just happened to all the guys, Nicholas and Yang and also Delico. He's pretty pissed off. And so Miles and Diego, they're trying to figure out, you know, after hearing that Dr. Theo is going to take Yang to the military, I mean not the military, but the police hospital, so he can recuperate, because he was able to take out all the bullets, because Yang got shot 5 times, so he was lucky to survive that. So Miles and Diego, they're trying to figure out who the hell could have beaten up or shot up Yang like that. I mean, he got shot 5 times. Like, it couldn't have been just any old body, you know. And then they're trying to think, well, the kid that we have hostage right now, and this is one of the hunters that was hired by Corsica, named Michael. So we got him, but he doesn't have a gun. There's this other girl, Erica, which is Delico's twin sister. She has a sword. So who could have done that? Who could have messed up Yang like this? That's what they're trying to figure out. But Worick already knows. Nothing phases Worick. He already knows what happened and everything. Like, he flat out tells those guys, like, it was Delico. He was the one that did it. And, you know, of course, Diego and Miles, they're looking at him like, huh? What did he say? So basically, Worick was telling us, like, Yang is pretty good. He's actually a pretty good fighter for a normal. He's very good at close range combat. So he knows how to handle himself against other normals, other regulars. And he might even be good enough to take out some low-key Twilights. But for somebody like him to get messed up and get shot close range, point-blank range, five shots to the back, and it was so close that you could still see the residue of the gunpowder. Who else could it be? Who else was it out there other than Delico that did that? His own partner. And Delico's a Twilight. It had to be him. And Delico right now, if you remember on the last volume 6, he's on the rooftop right now. That's where he's at. So he's not even hearing the conversation. At least not yet. So Worick was able to deduce that. And then he's with a mad look in his face, he's asking Miles, like, what have you been hiding from us, man? What you need to tell us everything you need to know about Dane Moreau right now. And so we end there. And then we cut to, I believe it's the gun shop. And so Marco, he's getting ready for battle, man. I love this. This is pretty much like the last part of the chapter. I was loving this scene right here. So Marco, he's trying to get his supplies ready. You know, he's about to enter the gun shop, and we kind of see Connie there for a second, but it's all in his imagination. It's all in Marco's imagination. And the girl's basically telling, like, I told you not to come back here. You know, his own girlfriend imagining in his head, like, you shouldn't have came back to this place. What are you doing here? And for those that read Gangsta Curse, you know that that's the place where spies, who Marco's old name spies, him and the Destroyers came over there and they messed up that whole shop. And that's the same place where Connie's parents died. And I guess their deal was, you know, Marco, you can't come back here because, you know, this is a bad place, not just for me, but it's a bad place for you too. Even though Connie and her grandmother still work there to this day, at least not anymore anyway. So Marco's getting his stuff together, man, and then next thing you know, we see another person off that Gangsta Curse volume. It's Maverick, his old superior, the person that kind of groomed him to be a destroyer in a sense, to be a hunter. And she's telling him, oh, we were right this whole time. We're gonna make sure we're right. So man, I was like, what? And the crazy part about it, this girl's covered in blood. So I figured at some point they fought together, like in the past, the 15 years ago. They must have fought. They had to. And I figured she was the one that gave Marco that big scar across his face. I figured she'd be the one to do it because she does use a sword like Erica. And so Marco, he's got his stuff in order, man. He's getting repped for battle. And then he goes into where the old lady is, and Joelle Reveau, Connie's grandmother, she's asleep. So he's putting her jacket over her shoulders to keep her warm. And then later on she wakes up, but she trying to figure out who put that over her over her back, her jacket. She's looking around and yet she doesn't see anybody. And outside the gun shop we see Marco's back out there again, and so he's walking through the streets, and the next person we see is Loretta's father, the person that gave him a second chance in life, Don Luca Cristiano. And Don Luca's probably, oh, I see, you're trying to get ready for battle, but we know this is going to be an easy fight for you. And just remember, you and I, we're both human. We're all one and the same. And that's the end of the chapter 36 right there. So yeah, Spies is getting ready for that battle, man. He does not appreciate the Destroyers coming in, taking Connie and just totally mutilating her. He's probably thinking she's dead already. At least that's what he thought in his mind, since he imagined Connie walking into that gun shop. So it's definitely a good build up about what's going to come next later in the volume, guys. So keep it locked in here. I'll be sure to have more reviews for the next couple chapters. Stay tuned. Subscribe if you can. I'll check you all later.